have to tell them that we are not going away. We will be heard and we will be listened to because we are equal to you and we are all as one. Yes? So, boys and girls, can I introduce our Minister of the afternoon, who is Mr. Patrick Harvey from the Green Party. The nasty, anti-trans, anti-queer, anti-equality crowd that gathered in outside Parliament the other day can get together, then so can we, and so will we. By standing together, I've got your back, you've got mine, we stand together in solidarity, and that is how we win, and we will win. We will win, and we will make sure that not only we have a fabulous day today, but that our wonderful diverse community has a better time tomorrow and next year and for generations to come. Thank you all very much. Have an awesome day.
Feels a bit weird being in such a large group of people, but it's like nice to be with everyone again.
Comparing where I am now to kind of where I was at my first Pride is really kind of bizarre. I was closeted for the first few Pride events that I went to, which was kind of really weird because I went with the intention of kind of finding people within my community, but at the same time, I wasn't really able to seek them out and say, hey, I'm one of you. So for me now to be able to be confident and be kind of out there about my identity is really, really positive. And I kind of hope that, you know, there might be people coming to Pride who might have been in the same position that I was at the beginning and kind of feel in a similar way and feeling more comfortable coming out to themselves and to other people.
There's quite a lot of feelings. It's really nice to be kind of with everyone. Obviously I'm still quite weary about COVID stuff, but it is very nice to see the community all come together. There were some really nice speeches about what we need to do as a community to make sure that everyone's safe. The kind of main issues right now for me are reform in trans healthcare. Wait lists are way too long, and I think it's really important that those wait lists are reduced to save lives.
My name's Mahdeeha, I'm 19 years old and my pronouns are they, them.
My name's Eden, I'm 19 and my pronouns are they, them and he, him.
I'm Valentine, I'm 22 and I use they, them, we, them or he, him pronouns.
So my name's Matthew, I'm 25. I use they, them pronouns.
I'm Zoe, I'm 33 and I prefer they, them pronouns. It's not something I think I really thought about until, I don't know, until society made it a thing that I had to think about, you know?
It's like a very specific feeling of kind of being something other than being a man or a woman and kind of like being my own thing, I suppose.
The way that I experience my gender is actually quite confusing at times for me because sometimes I feel feminine, sometimes I feel masculine, sometimes I just feel nothing at all. But I think I just realised like the balance of there being like no rules to being non-binary is just my favourite. I just love it so much.
I feel very just androgynous. Like I feel like my look is very just androgynous. I want people to look at me and think, it's a person, and be confused. I feel really empowered mainly when I dress feminine, or when I feel really feminine, you can tell. But then also when I dress really masculine, it's like you can still see that I'm just androgynous because there's just a balance of the two.
I think I've always kind of identified somewhere on the gender spectrum. Like I've always known that I wasn't a super masculine man. I've kind of always dressed like a bit slightly flamboyantly, but I suppose growing up, I didn't necessarily feel like I had the permission to do all this or do more than this as I would on nights out or whatever. But now I use the term non-binary and I use they, them pronouns. For me, that isn't so much a case of feeling neither masculine or feminine, but more both, as well as just being like a sort of rejection of the standards rooted within gender that society places on us.
For me, my gender identity is pretty integral to who I am as a person, because it's kind of affected my experiences in a lot of ways. I tend to find myself drawn to a lot of other non-binary people. So a large majority of my community is people who share kind of similar experiences of gender to me.
I think identifying as non-binary has helped me be more free in a sense. I mean, I've only really started identifying as non-binary like maybe 2-3 years ago. It's still quite a new thing for me, and it's not really something, I haven't done that whole coming out thing like I did when I came out as gay. You know, like I do prefer they, them pronouns, but you know, some people still refer to me as like she, her. And you know, I don't really bother correcting them depending on which setting I'm at.
I use it as a way to thrive, you know. I use it as a way to educate folk, because we're obviously lacking the education and the education system with the government, like, but my identity isn't, and my belonging isn't to educate everyone else. My sole purpose is not for that. I will do it when I want, but I use my body and all my media as an education platform.
I like to express my gender through clothes mostly. I like to dress as androgynous as I can, but also I like to switch it up as well sometimes. Because I just like confusing people that I walk past. Like, I just want them to really question and be like, is that a girl or a boy? I don't know. It's the same when I'm at work. I just like to confuse people all the time. I recommend it.
It changes at different times, like depending on the context, depending on how I'm feeling. Most of the time now I tend to wear either dresses, skirts. I generally look, I suppose, quite feminine and at least my aesthetic presentation. But I also have facial hair and I have body hair. I mean, having body hair again doesn't indicate that you are either a man or a woman the same way that clothes don't. Like, there's no specific way to be non-binary. There's no specific way to be a woman. There's no specific way to be a man. So I suppose, I do my best to indicate how I might be feeling, but equally, I also think it's the responsibility of people to just listen to people and respect how people like to be referred and what pronouns they like to use. So.
I'm not like going into a shop and thinking about whether something is too masculine or feminine. I'm just thinking like, do I feel comfortable in it? Does it feel nice? Do I enjoy the way it makes me feel? So yeah, I suppose like I'm just like less inhibited in like terms of what I will wear. A lot of what I own, it does tend to be like, yeah, most of at least like the sort of more dramatic pieces are dresses. I don't know, I think it's more just like I go through phases of liking just like different types of clothes. Like I do also have a lot of like bodysuits and like leotards.
I often just use makeup and fashion as a way to indicate how I feel to the world. I also kind of feel like, because I have ADHD, like I'm very attracted to color. I'm very attracted to like stimulation and things that like excite me. So I'm often very into bright colors. Also, I feel like with fashion and makeup, because these were things that I never felt like I had permission or access to growing up, now I feel like I'm like nurturing my inner child by like basically wearing and putting on whatever the fuck I want.
There is more permission given to queer people to access makeup. Not necessarily permission that society has granted us, but permission that we've carved out for ourselves. Like, again, I think because queer people are more likely to be othered or ostracized within society, there is more of a like fuck it attitude for the most part. So it's kind of like, I do think things like makeup do largely inform sort of queer expression, just largely because it's like with any tool, it's like it just unlocks a lot of like potential as far as like looking on the outside, what you see in your head. I think by the time I actually came out, I was almost like, fuck it, like I may as well just embody everything that I'm scared of and that people ridicule me for. Because I was already kind of bullied for being weird anyway. So I was like, well, why not just like push the envelope a little bit more and just like, yeah, take it to more of an extreme.
The Philippines is a basketball crazy country, so that's what I saw since I was growing up. And then I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather and I would watch basketball on TV.
I like how, for me, basketball allows me to kind of use my entire body. There's also the communication aspect of it, wherein when you're playing an actual game, you know, you talk to your teammates. So I feel like it's almost like a holistic experience for me, and that's one of the things that I think I like about it. I grew up playing with women, like I was part of the university women's basketball team when I was doing my master's. And although I really did enjoy that because I love basketball, I came back for my PhD and have been more comfortable with my identity as a queer person. I felt like that space wasn't right for me anymore. My only experience really of playing basketball as an out non-binary person is with the Rainbow Glasgows, which is the LGBTQ+ group that I co-founded here in Glasgow. It feels really safe and supportive, and it's really fun because it's like gender is not even a thing. Like we're a mixed group. Like the diversity is awesome.
I think a conversation that needs to be had with non-binary people is that there's actually no rules to being non-binary. I've noticed that some people are kind of, on social media and stuff, some people can be a bit strange when a like feminine person comes out as non-binary, which is, you know, not the best, because being non-binary has like no rules, like you don't have to look any certain way. And I feel like that's a concept that's put on non-binary people quite a lot.
The way we kind of interact with medical professionals is something that's really important that is like often ignored. A lot of the time when you're trying to seek transition, you kind of have to put yourself in this binary box and like kind of hide certain aspects about yourself, which is something that like I found quite difficult when I was starting my medical transition, because I had to sit down and be like, yeah, I am a trans man, I want to be a man, I want to look like a man, I want to man things. And I think it's really important that medical professionals kind of understand that non-binary people also want to transition sometimes, and that we have a very particular way of gender expression, as all trans people do.
The talk we need to have is really just about gender itself and how you perceive it as, because once we get that conversation going, we can be more accepting to ourselves and understanding to ourselves and realize what these emotions are, because gender, your gender identity, sexuality, two different things, but they can be combined like that.
We've got a lot of issues with transphobia in the UK, which tend to be aimed at like trans women and trans feminine people. And a lot of the time, non-binary people are kind of either ignored or treated as just like confused gay people.
In the UK, we're not here. We are not here. There's nothing said about us. We have I don't feel like we have any representation, and frankly, not enough representation from people of colour, like that are non-binary in general, and then with the UK it's lacking even more, and it's horrible because we've always been here, you know.
One thing that I would like people to know about non-binary people is, first of all, that they exist. You know, it's not a made-up thing, and that non-binary people are just people.
I wish more people knew that non-binary is not just like a third gender, and every non-binary experience is completely different.
A lot of people now are realizing that gender is what you perceive it as. Your gender is yours, it's no one else's.
in real life I find it quite hard to actually meet various different queer people, especially if they're like POC. I've personally felt more accepted as a queer person mostly through the use of social media. There's a lot of like queer campaigns on like Instagram, Twitter, and also like a lot of queer YouTubers and influencers that have just helped me feel more accepted. I think the QPOC project really stands out for me. Like, it's this like London-based organisation for queer people of colour, and they do so many different like posts and also like Zoom calls that you can join, and I just think they're personally like the best Instagram page for people that are like feeling like they don't really have anyone to speak to. I don't want to be too feminine, I don't want to be too masculine, and I personally don't feel like either a girl or a boy. So I think being non-binary just made so much sense. So that's how I kind of realised and came to terms with it. Things have changed quite a bit ever since I came out as non-binary. I just have, in general, felt a lot happier and more content with myself. Even just the way I express my gender identity has changed quite a bit as well, like in the way that I dress and kind of what sort of makeup I tend to do. I'm currently saving up for top surgery, so that's like kind of a really big thing in my life that has changed. If you look at social media and stuff, there's always like a wee bit where you can put your pronouns in, and that wasn't like a thing before. I just feel like people are getting a lot more inclusive with pronouns and stuff, and pronoun badges are being like introduced into workplaces and all that, so I think it's definitely going in like a good direction. I feel like the next step should probably be kind of introducing the use of pronouns and gender identity within schools. There must be like a lot of queer young people that feel like they've never been taught about stuff like that, and then when they start to come to realise the fact that they're queer or just not cis, it can take quite a big toll on it. When I was in school, it was actually really difficult being a queer person. I went to a Catholic school, and we had so many just openly homophobic and transphobic teachers that would just say things so blatantly that was just so out of order. I feel like I started realising things through the use of social media once again. That's when I first realised like, oh, it's actually normal to be queer or to be questioning your gender identity. I'm currently in my second year of college. I chose journalism just because I've always kind of wanted to have a platform for like people to read my things and sort of feel like they have something to read about, especially since I mostly write about queer related things. I just don't think it's like fair for people to not have something like that. I feel like everyone should feel like there's someone that can relate to them. So that's why I chose journalism, and I have always had like a passion in writing, especially when it comes to magazines and stuff like that. I've always wanted to kind of have my own magazine line, and it's something that I'm looking into for the future.
I got all the parts separately, so this is like my first proper board setup that I got myself, which I'm really proud of, and it's just a really good board. I got into skateboarding because I didn't really have anything to do during lockdown, and I've always had a skateboard, so I thought, why not get back into it? And then I started to get to know like loads of people through skating, and the community that I found was beautiful. Like, skateboarding is the only thing that I've really found help with like lots of my mental health issues. Like, it's just an easy escape, and it's something that I'm really proud of. I identify as a Pakistani non-binary gay person. I say it all with pride. Like, it took me a long time, but I'm proud to be who I am. The feeling that I get when I'm around other queer people of colour is completely unmatched, because it's just so nice knowing that there's, like, seeing other people like me being out and being proud and being queer. A lot of safe queer spaces are catered towards like the white queer experience. I think white queer people need to take into consideration their place. No matter whether or not that they're gay, they are white, and the system upholds that. The system is for white people, and I think it's just very, very important for white people to just listen. With allyship, You're not being a true ally if you're taking others' stories and trying to voice them as your own, you know, to show that you are like this educated person. I think it's just very important to, you know, amplify queer people of colour's voices and their stories and our struggles, because that's the only way we can break down the barrier. I feel proud to be non-binary all the time. Like, even when I feel like absolute shit, like, I feel good about my gender identity. I'm really lucky because I've always been really secure in myself and my identity.
I suppose I mostly feel proud of being non-binary whenever I present in a way that feels authentic, and I'm like unapologetic in doing so.
I also feel proud when I've had a couple people come up to me and say that me being explicitly non-binary has helped people realise and come to terms with their own gender identity.
Whenever there's something that's like gender neutral, I don't know, there's like a little bit of pride, I guess. Although I'm not sure if that's pride necessarily or more of feeling acknowledged, that, you know, we're moving beyond binaries, or people are at least, you know, having a better understanding of gender.
I feel proud to be non-binary mostly when I'm in like awkward situations with my family and stuff. Like, my parents don't really understand being non-binary or even being queer in general. They don't really get it at all, so there's some conflict sometimes, but it does honestly make me prouder to be non-binary because it means that I still get to stand my ground, and I always do, and I'm not like hiding or pretending to be something that I'm not just because of their opinion.
My hopes for the non-binary community is, you know, to be treated like people, you know, equal rights, be recognized, have the same access to services and everything that, you know, people do.
My hopes for the non-binary community is that we get the representation and we get basic education in the system, in all the schools in the UK, because that's what we need. Like, what we need is just education. It also should not be a political topic. It is, there's people living like this, we need to educate everyone on them, you know? Like, we are living, we are here, why is it that the whole entire world population just doesn't need to acknowledge me?
But ultimately, I just want people to I suppose, feel safe in the world, and to just, I want us to just get to a point where people that are cisgender can see, like, look at us and actually not just acknowledge what's different about the two of us, but also acknowledge like the similarities.
My hopes for the non-binary community are solidarity a lot of the time with other communities, whether that's other trans communities or just the wider kind of LGBT community as well. I think right now there's kind of a lot of divide, and a lot of people kind of focus on themselves, when I really think we need that kind of solidarity and community all together if we want to help progress society.
I woke up yesterday and it's kinda hard to say. I said a lot of things I didn't mean, and I said them to myself, and so it seems I'm stuck in a loop, and I don't know what to do. But I woke up today, feel a little better, feel a little stronger, and so I say, I love the way my body curves, I love the way my hair's a mess in the morning, and I'm always running late now. And oh, I wish everybody could see the way I dance after hours when I'm singing by myself. Cause I gotta learn to love my na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Oh, gotta learn to love my na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Oh, gotta learn to love myself.